This day, today, has been a long time coming. The educational process each of you went through, the process of creating these beautiful banners, the trains that have come to us from the west and the north and the east and the south, and all of the events in communities across this country.
These are works of art and passion, created to send a clear message to the Canadian government. It's time. After years of stalling, in November 2010, the Canadian government finally endorsed the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. KAIROS, Indigenous groups, civil society, and churches welcomed this change of heart and began a new call. It's time to put the declaration into action, in full collaboration with Indigenous peoples. We are encouraging the government to act, and we need to work together to make that happen. Across Canada, communities took up this work, signing petitions and creating banners to support the declaration and a new relationship with Indigenous peoples. On June 20th, they brought their voices, their banners, and petitions to a day for public witness, a day for celebration, and a day to call on our government and ourselves to put the declaration into action.
We will not be satisfied until the words of the declaration issue in concrete action, until there's flesh on those bones, until the rights of the declaration are fully lived out.
There would be nothing worse than another promise broken, another document promising change for Indigenous people that gathers dust on the shelf, especially when the situation for Indigenous people in Canada is more and more urgent.
We want the same basic human rights for Indigenous peoples that every Canadian has come to expect.
3 years ago, the Prime Minister apologized to Aboriginal peoples for the wrongs done during residential schools. Well, to me, reconciliation means not saying sorry twice. What really counts is the way the Government of Canada is treating this generation of First Nations children. As Sheila Fraser and many other expert reports have said, the Government of Canada builds 2 bridges for its children. The first bridge crosses over a very troubled river. It's not as strong as it should be. It's built for non-Aboriginal children. For a wealthy country, we could do much better. But thankfully, many of the children make it over. And then there's the bridge the Government of Canada builds for First Nations children. They give them 22% less funding for child welfare to live safely in their families. They are going to school in horrible conditions, infested with snakes, infested with black mold. Some don't have schools, or some are sitting on top of toxic waste dumps. And even if they're in a good school, they get $2,000 to $3,000 less per student per year to learn. And that's just the beginning of the disadvantage.
These inequities for Indigenous children echo in other injustices.
We call, no, we demand an education funding formula that promotes sustainability and growth and contributes to the educational equality of all Canadian children. Clean water without conditions and without the threat to Aboriginal and treaty rights, and land rights without conditions.
We believe that the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples provides an urgent challenge and opportunity to Canada. First of all, we believe that it applies the basic human rights that all people enjoy to the unique situation of Indigenous people. It also gives us the tools to address some of the misery of Canada's past in relationship to Indigenous peoples. Most importantly, it ensures that we will have a future in which all Canadians will have justice.
For those who march on Parliament Hill, Indigenous rights are about the integrity of Canada as a nation. Today, momentum towards change is growing. There are 300 banners here today, and KAIROS wants to make sure that creativity and positive energy continues to build. We invite all Canadians to join in the action to say, truth, reconciliation, and equity. They matter to us. We ask people to put this commitment into their own actions. Listen to the voices of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Host a display of banners from Roll with the Declaration. KAIROS staff can help you choose a selection that relate to your denomination, region, or issue. If you haven't made a banner, consider making one or more for KAIROS, for your local friendship center, and to hang in your church. Find your voice. Contribute to KAIROS' submission on equity to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We're presenting it in June 2012. Check out the campaign section of the KAIROS website to find out how. Put yourself in the picture. Take a photo of the people in your church, community, school, or family, holding a bold sign that says truth, reconciliation, and equity. They matter to us. Send a copy of your picture and help us create a huge public witness for an equitable Canada. Consider using your picture in a public ad in your local newspaper. Meet with your Member of Parliament. Press the government to put the declaration into action in full collaboration with Indigenous peoples. Focus on one key inequity, such as education or child welfare, that urgently needs to be changed. Take a framed copy of your photo as a gift. Remember, if you need us, KAIROS is ready to help you prepare, including providing key points for policy change.
It means self-determination. It means control over our own destiny, over our own lives. It means not being wards of the state under the Indian Act and the laws of Canada. It means access to our lands and resources. It means the revitalization of our languages, our culture. It means the restoration of the roles of women in decision-making processes, to be able to pass on cultural heritage, to be able to be part of every part of what you consider Canada as a nation being. We are no different. We are people who want peace, security. We want to be dealt with on a nation-to-nation basis, with honesty, with integrity, and without the fear of being criminalized for doing that. We want peace, and that's what decolonization means, that we are no longer your children, but we are human beings, just as the Declaration has said, equal to you as Canadians.
These banners were a stream of justice. We need them to become a raging river of change. Come and be a part of that transformation.